Can you let me know right now, please? The needle ample.
From Mario and Sonic to Pac-Man and Zelda, the video game industry has witnessed innovations from franchises of all shapes, sizes, and platforms. This doesn't exclude racing games, and this certainly doesn't exclude the Need for Speed franchise. Spanning over 24 years, including 21 console titles, EA's flagship racing series has ebbed and flowed with the ever-trending nature of car culture, virtually shaping the very fabric of the racing genre, at times for better, and arguably at times for worse. One thing I think we could all agree on, however, is that the series' roots are cemented in escapist simulation and the sensation of getting behind the world's fastest cars and doing things with them that were definitely not road legal. Before all the undergrounds and most wanteds, Need for Speed was just that, a need for pure, unadulterated speed. Road and Track presents the Need for Speed, relishes in augmenting that very sensation and making it a virtual reality, offering a batch of fast cars and fast tracks across a bevy of game modes tailored to encapsulate that thrill-seeking aesthetic. Although it may not be perfect and it may not have aged as well as the Gran Turismos and the test drives that came after, the original Need for Speed helped set the benchmark for future racing games, both by introducing and absolutely nailing simulation-style driving with the prefix of high-stakes chaos. The Need for Speed offers 4 distinct game modes, all showcasing the game's blatant sense of speed and adventure. Players can just dive into any kind of event and get the ball rolling, but for some who may want to grab a hold of things, they can do some basic time trials to learn the track and adapt to the nuances of the cars on tap. And what has become a series staple, racing in the Need for Speed, comes in a variety of outlets. You could take on 7 different AI opponents in single race, carry that level of competition over the organized race conditions in tournament, or settle things with a single driver before waves of swirling traffic and buzzing police cruisers in the highly coveted head-to-head mode. There are 6 tracks in total, 7 if you're skilled enough to unlock the Las Vegas bonus track, and there are 50-50 split between circuits and point-to-point routes featuring trios of track segments. The Need for Speed prides itself in the 8 cars that fill these roads, and thanks to a little analytics help from Road and Track, developer Pioneer Productions translates pages of performance data into your fingertips. While the game can feel like a day at the arcade when you're swerving through fields of NPCs at blazing speeds, you're constantly made wary of both the weight and suspension of whatever sports car you're driving when you miscalculate an apex and bang into a wall at 150 miles per hour, or slip slide into oblivion after failing to regain traction. Controls are fluid and responsive overall, and you're bound to have a blast coming to grips with the give and take aspect of the physics, but the game demands you to respect the cars themselves. You have to brake early on tight corners, otherwise you'll be punished. There aren't many turns you can really cheat, so finding the right angles to turn in or fly off of them are important in gaining an advantage, or simply breaking one of the dozens of preset lap records dispersed throughout the different courses. You're also going to need to be real steady with the throttle at times, which I admire because on numerous occasions, I've seen my lap times dwindle severely just by approaching sharper turns with less aggression. The Need for Speed is a thoroughly rewarding driving experience, but again, a major part of that is Pioneer Productions being so good at replicating real-life vehicle performance without sacrificing the game's fun factor. Each car has a comprehensive showcase explaining its attributes, and those same attributes are converted beautifully on the track. Muscle cars like the Dodge Viper RT10 appropriately understeer on turn-in and make up for such shortcomings with high top speeds and an underrated amount of corner grip. The Porsche 911 Carrera lacks the giddy-up of its contemporaries, but is a ridiculously smooth ride that sticks to the road like glue. Even the Lamborghini Diablo VT, which was lauded at the time for being the first all-wheel drive Diablo, handles like it should with a quick launch, high top speed, and remarkable handling on hairpins. This attention to detail makes the game very addicting, prompting extended play sessions while the player aims to master the 400 horsepower beast they're behind the wheel of. Along with being woefully diversified, the tracks all have a delicate balance of straightaways and twisting turns, with some of them shifting the eye level with elevation changes. Since the cars are all modeled to their real-life counterparts, they each have distinct advantages depending on the venue, but you'll only know it after taking them all for a spin. As a result, each car in the game is as essential as the next one, and dominating a race can become as simple as choosing the right set of wheels for the job. Head-to-head showdowns not only give players a chance to outright identify the strengths and weaknesses of a certain car relative to another, they also represent everything great about this game. For all the fun you can have spinning laps on Rusty Springs or Autumn Valley, nothing beats flagging down your rival 200 meters ahead of you on Coastal or Alpine with only a couple miles to the finish line and the boys in blue hot on your trail. The addition of pedestrian traffic offers a unique challenge by testing your reflexes and your wheelman skills, while the shadowy presence of the police will force your hand at times and cause you to lose control. I've lost hours going back and forth with the CPU driver opposite me, trying out the entire list of rides under various pretenses, with each duel exuding different thrills than the last. Even after all these years, it's still insane how much fun you can have with this one feature. The Need for Speed experienced a very healthy graphical bump when it was ported from the 3DO to the Sony PlayStation back in 1996. The PS1 version shown here enhances all the textures and polygons from the original, dishing out a visual flair that gives the game a harrowing vivacity. Racetracks are characterized by distinguishable traits. Rusty Springs looks like a one-off course stuck in the heart of the Southwest, with cacti and windmill towers sticking out behind the guardrails. City surrounds you with tall buildings and darkened tunnels. Coastal flashes a beach here and hot air balloons there. Alpine offers a countryside tour with moose gazing you down as you're speeding by, and then morphs into a snowy mountain in the latter segments. Very pretty stuff that just pops off of the screen. Along with the tracks, the cars also look pretty good for the game's age. Many of the standout features that made them so provocative back in the 90s are rendered here, and it's an absolute blast watching them skid about the track, or leap off the ground, or even crash into civilian traffic. Enough can't be said for the physics engine on display, by the way, it's fantastic. In addition, the showcases do a perfect job gearing you up for the road, providing a rich description of each car's performance index and production history, while showing them off in these Top Gear style full motion videos that just look incredible. They may be as 90s as a video game can get, but boy are they watchable. It's truly sad that this series no longer offers the same level of reverence to its cars. Speaking of FMV though, I love how the game uses them for all kinds of scenarios. You win a race or lead the pack at the end of a tournament, you get an FMV of the cars whizzing about, looking all cool and badass. Even when you get busted by the police, you're treated to these really witty clips of the officer locking you away.
I do believe I got me my first UFO capture. You better start turning green real fast, Gizmo, or the National Enquirer ain't gonna buy my story.
Very rarely do I justify FMVs in video games, as they've generally looked tacky from my experience, but Pioneer Productions killed it here, and they do a remarkable job incorporating it into the gameplay without them becoming off-putting distractions. The soundtrack in the Need for Speed is a mix of hard rock music and electronic beats, two elements that are more often than not separated from each other. They accentuate the menus very well and gel with the action on the track. It sounds corny as all hell by today's standards, but you can't help but immerse yourself each time you're out there whipping it above the speed limit. It's kind of like with the later PS1 Need for Speed games, where you have this wide assortment of studio-produced sounds that work in action movies but would never touch your iPod, and it just sort of fits here. I'm truly enamored with Road and Track presents the Need for Speed. This is a truly one-of-a-kind racing game that's just oozing in personality and polish. I can talk all day about the level of care put into the cars, the tracks, and the aesthetic, but the inclusion of road and track transcends it beyond being some one-off gimmick. It's arguably one of the very best aspects featured in any Need for Speed game I've ever played. This game is a true winner, innovating a genre that was evolving relatively slowly and helping pave the way for decades of similar titles that succeeded it. While many racers since its release run circles around it from a graphical and gameplay standpoint, there's no denying the fact that the Need for Speed is one of the true legends of the genre. It's a fun, heartfelt love letter to gearheads and automotive aficionados alike, and you're not a true racing game fan if it's not in your video game collection.